Shalom Aleichem, Rabbi Sai. Shalom Aleichem. This is Yehud 11. The program is 11 at 11. Heard each and every Thursday evening on 6:20 a.m. Radio WSNR. It could also be accessed on YouTube, which we're trying to do this now live on Wednesday evening. It happens to be 10:30. As usual, I'm late. I was late to my own chasna. Forgive me. But we managed to get our act together. And, of course, I ask you once again to be a shutef in all these proceedings by publicizing to your friends, neighbors, even your opponents and adversaries, the existence of this program, both on the radio and for those who have a heter for the internet and who doesn't, now that Agudas Yisrael is tweeting and chanfening all over the place. So obviously it's a Torah Chadasha, it's a Bris Chadasha, a Naya Covenant. So therefore, you can go to our YouTube channel where everything is archived on Levin, L-E-V-I-N, and the number 11, and also at rabbi.zone. Of course, our hotline number, please take this down and pass this on to Chaverim, to people who do not have radio, who do not have internet, and nevertheless, they could benefit from this hotline. They could be in Eretz Yisrael, in Lakewood, abroad, 641-715-3900, 641-715-3900, extension 247656. The week that was, first let me begin with my first l'chaim of the evening. I'm done l'shalom to everybody. And this program should be, in the Divrei Torah and Divrei Hashkafa, should be a zchus for Avi Meiri, Rav Avram ben Chayarezel, for Imi Marasi, Masha Bas Matel, and for your humble servant Yehuda ben Masha, for Refuah Shlema Bar Yiskufa, Nahar Ma'alya, as well as for all of the many Cholim and Nitzrachim in Klal Yisrael. If we can contribute to them, then through this, then we want to use the schar of this program to help other people. I was tremendously impressed this Lubavitcher Rov. We put it on our WhatsApp. By the way, I invite each and every one of you, whoever is interested in being on our WhatsApp and getting daily information, far more insights during the course of the week, commentary, occasional Divrei Torah than we could possibly squeeze into this one information-packed hour per week. So we invite you to contact us. You can be on one of two different WhatsApps. One WhatsApp, you just see my posts and you don't see any chatter, any chat, any talking back and forth, just what I have to say. Or you can be on the active chat, where you can contribute, or you can see the back and forth and what people contribute. Either way, the way you do this is you just contact me on the phone. You get WhatsApp on your phone by going to the Google playlist or Play Store or whatever you do. You find out from a friend. It's mamish nothing to get on WhatsApp. It takes around 2 or 3 minutes to install on your cell phone. And then you dial my number, you WhatsApp me, or at 718-469 6999, 718-469-6999, and you indicate where you want to be put, and we'll put you on there as long as you behave yourself, which I'm sure you will. We used to have miscreants coming on. Now, Baruch Hashem, we have a tighter rein, and we don't have the lowlifes, the interferers, because what we're doing is too valuable, and we're not interested in entertainment. We're interested in tachlis. But Rabbi Sai, you know that there's a bracha that a person makes, Sha'asli Nes, I think, B'makam Hazeh. And then there's a concept of Al Nisechot Sheb'chol Yeh Mimonu, and there's a concept of Nidar El Hashem Hashem Negdo No L'Cholam B'Chasas Beis Hashem. There's a concept of being mefarsim when a person has a nes. And I realized this Shabbos Kodesh past Shemais that I was zeicher to a nes, and I want to just share it briefly with the Olam to thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I'm in my house. I'm immobile for weeks now because of an operation on my foot. My parents are both right now in institutions of health, of rehab, for their various ailments. So it's a particularly difficult time for us, and that's why we ask for your tefillos for Refuah Shlema for our entire mishpacha. And since I'm not mobile, basically I go around on a scooter in my house because I have to keep off on foot that it should heal for the coming weeks. So before Shabbos, I put food on a blech, which I usually don't use. And I was home alone the Shabbos, and for various reasons. And I had food on the blech for the night and for the day. A few hours later, I came in to get my course, my hot course, and I put my hand on the food, on top of the food container, and I saw that it's cold, so I realized, Gewalt, the gas is on and the fire is not lit, which is a sakana, and then I realized there was a smell of gas. And this was probably going on in the house for, I don't know, for how long? It could have been going on for several hours. I don't know. Because the food was all cold. So that would show that whatever heat there was wore off. So I shut off the gas, sakonas nefashos, and I went back to my room. And then I realized something. I had Shabbos candles that were lit. And I was musupik. I was going to light it in the kitchen or the dinette off the kitchen, considering eating there, but I realized that it's more bakfem, it's more comfortable for me to eat in my bedroom like I do the entire week. I spend 95% of the time in my bedroom. As a matter of fact, last week I tried to do this YouTube video in the bedroom, and the connection is not clear. So I realized that whether I like it or not, I have to go into the kitchenette, the dinette, where you now see me in. But anyhow, I lit the candles on 2 tea lights on the windowsill of my bedroom. Imagine, Rabbi say, if I would have chosen to light it in the kitchen or in the dinette. It's a huge chance that chas v'shalom, I don't even want to finish what could have happened. So I want to personally, publicly thank Hashem on the secha shebechol yom imanu. And I want to use this as a teaching moment by Rabbi Say. Sometimes we don't realize the nisim that occurred to us. If you don't pay attention, I could have not put the 2 and 2 together. Knew, okay, there was gas, I shut it off and finished business. But it was more than that. You have to have a kasa tov HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The second thing is the title of tonight's episode is basically, I called it Hefgerwelt Attacks. And this is a double entendre. One, in general, we are now experiencing in the very midst of Torah orthodoxy, of Haredi Yiddishkeit, a Hefgerwelt. All kinds of people are doing all kinds of things that we're here to catalog that super decline, the cascading towards Gemara that's taking place in our own Orthodox community, and how things are changing literally daily, weekly, monthly, that things that were never acceptable in the Orthodox community are suddenly acceptable, and nobody does anything, and nobody complains, nobody criticizes, everybody is ostrich-like in their own little malucha, in their own little rebista, in their own little shulkele, in their own little moisids, in their own little coffee clutches at the minyan, and nobody says a darn thing. The loneliest entity is HaKadosh Baruch Hu, if you will. It's tragic but true. So we catalog, and that in itself is a reason for Hefgerwelt, but this is a double entendre, because there is a website in Lakewood that is run by a Mr. Anonymous. We don't know who it is. And he catalogs a lot of the Hefgerwelt stuff that's going on, particularly in Lakewood. And he has been kind enough over the past months on various occasions to carry this video broadcast. And he also, I don't think, similar to me, he's not getting any covet, he's not getting any money. You know, I think he's doing it because he has a gefühl for the tzibur and he's outraged on some of the shenanigans going on. So they're going after Hefgerwelt. It seems, I'm sorry to say, but there is a clique that uses quasi-mafioso tactics in Lakewood. This is a clique that, to be melamed schus on them, the Haredi people, they're even involved perhaps sometimes with Moses HaChinuch, and there's incestuous relationships with the town committees and with the zoning boards and alle meiselach, and they're in with big developers who have money, and they make their money with developments, buildings. Lakewood is burgeoning; it's breaking up at the seams. And there are people who are long-time residents who complain because everything on Route 9 is a traffic jam. It's possible to get your kid to school in the morning, to get to work in the morning, and the sewage problems and all kinds of problems. And I don't want to get involved in that. That's not my issue. My issue is here that some of these people fronting for other people went ahead and took a few of the activists in Lakewood. They went and they sued them in court, and they took what may well be the best and most expensive lawyer in New Jersey. Maybe I've heard rumors he might charge as much as $1,000 an hour. What they're trying to do is to shut down any opposition to anything that they do. Now, to be and they feel like this. We some of us are long-time people in Lakewood. We're involved with Moses Chinuch. We've done a lot for the community. And therefore, we're allowed to use our connections, et cetera, to get their tax situations and to get the first jump on properties and to change zoning laws, et cetera. One hand washes the other. And this is the way business is done. Was for chutzpah, a few yechidim are challenging us and complaining and bad-mouthing us and criticizing us. So first they try to go after the people. It's a time-honored minhag in Lakewood that the leadership in Lakewood goes after people they don't like, people who are not towing the party line, and they go after them with their kids to try to get their kids to be kicked out of school. And one of the principals had this going on. The principals meaning the ICA person, not the principal of the school. They went to a principal of the school, and the principal of the school told them, basically, go jump in the lake. I'm not going to do it. But in the past, there are people who've had their kids kicked out of school. Is that done? Is that al pi Torah? Could a bezdin of people who were not negeya at all? Maybe you'd have to go to Eretz Yisrael to find such a thing, to find out if you're allowed to go do such a thing, if this is not mafioso shtick. Anyhow, I'm spending an awful lot of time in this, and I don't want to because I have so much to tell you. So let me just tell you what happened here. So they went and they sued a bunch of people, and it seems that underlying this also is to try to obtain, because Hefkewelt publishes what these people, these complainers, have to say. So they want to probably identify who Hefkewelt is so they can go and make him mafioso tsaris. So they served a group of people in Lakewood. They served them with summonses. Did they have a heter hakoyos? Did they wanted to ask, etc.? And I'm going to leave it to your imagination who runs most of the machinations that are occurring in Lakewood, but he's much too clever to put his fingerprints on it. He'll never attend a meeting, but he knows exactly what's going on. I'm going to leave your name out, but you can figure out, Rabbi, say who it is. Shame, shame. Anyhow, they went, they have to respond. So you respond by either countersuing or serving subpoenas or serving answers, whatever it is, probably subpoenas, because the other side has plenty of bones buried in their graveyards that are not so geschmack. So very recently, in the last week or so, there was a town hall committee meeting of some sort in Lakewood, and the Erliche Tzaddik Tonim of Alt Eliezer Richter, the same one who responded to my call, the Yochid Miyuchad, who stood bravely outside in June, outside the Lakewood Public Library, where the Rosh Yeshiva and the Manhigim and the Askonim should have sent, at least on an Erev Shabbos in the long summer months, they could have sent 50 ladies with carriages and 50 young light at 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon and called down the Asbury Press and made a machal against the homosexualization of the youth library and all of the programs and the outreach efforts. Disgusting. But Alt Eliezer Richter was the only one who went, and he held up a sign there. And another time he went and spoke in front of the town committee, and this Oisvorf person who's on the committee named Ray Cole started to make a comparison between people's what I call bedroom misbehavior and people's religion. They have rights, it's civil rights, etc., etc. And he shut down Alta Eliezer. Alta Eliezer is a Yid Tzaddik. So he was asked by these people to go ahead to do a chesed and to walk over to an individual on the committee and to hand him a letter, a subpoena. It's a simple thing. It takes 5 seconds. You walk over and you hand it. He walked over, he handed it, and a Yid from the back who was videoing this whole thing, was one of the principals being sued, screamed out, "You've been served." So a few moments later, 5 policemen came and surrounded Alta Eliezer Richter, and another 5 policemen came, maybe from different municipalities, who knew? 10 policemen in Lakewood were busy using taxpayer dollars to take this terrible, gefährliche terrorist, Alta Eliezer Richter, and to try to intimidate him. Fortunately, this gentleman, one of the principals who was filming the whole thing, videoing the whole thing, and he said to the policeman, he did everything legally, did nothing wrong, I'm a witness, and the policeman saw that he was videoing everything, so they decided that although they want to be obsequious and subservient to the power structure, the mafioso, they decided eventually to leave, but they put a shakar pachad into Reb Alta Eliezer Richter. They intimidated him, they harassed him, and there should be, frankly, a din v'cheshbon for this. This mafioso shtick has got to stop. And that's all I have to say. I feel an achrayus to say this, because you should know Rav Chaim Brisker didn't go into the Agudas Yisrael, and they say that he said, you have to be people on the outside to be able to speak. And recently we heard Rabbi Avram Chaim Levin said to his son Ephraim Mordechai, Yibal L'chaim Tov Maruchim, that he appreciates that Levin is coming from the right because they're being pulled a lot of times to the left. And therefore it's important that they hear and that they are informed and that they take into consideration everything that's going on and other views, etc. And so I really feel, I'm not saying that everything that they do and every complaint they make is 1,000% right, nor am I saying that everything that the people associated with the mafiosos, some of them prominent members in the chinuch community, are wrong. Okay, but mafioso shtick is not to be tolerated, and the way that you associate with these developers or whoever it is that do the dirty work up front, you understand that you're behind the scene. The Rebbeinu Shalom knows what's behind the scene. The shaila is, why aren't you seeing to it that if you have a difficulty, you go to a bezdin, and if you can't get an objective bezdin in Lakewood, which is quite likely because everybody is fearful of the power sources, then you have to find Eretz Yisrael or somewhere else where it'll be fair, and that's the way you adjudicate your problems. Now, frankly, Bisman Hazeh, I'll tell you in Gittin, it's extremely, extremely, extremely hard, if not impossible, to find the bezdin, but that's a discussion for another day. We've had these discussions. Now let's get on to the main event tonight, which is to discuss the aftermath of the shocking capitulation of what I call the Nakba, of the New Year's Nakba, the New Year's tragedy, which was the Garden in Eden, as was reported gleefully by Reuven Blau, the ostensibly Orthodox reporter who broke the story in the Daily News. And there was a picture of Leah, she's no Lady Forrester, performing, and you see in the picture ladies with tichels, men and sitting in the front with a black yeshivish type yarmulke. It's mamish, terrible, terrible tragedy. Yehuda Levin, how do we respond to all this? So let me start to list responses. Number one, you should know that there was also a performer there, Dana Friedman, an Orthodox, quote unquote Orthodox, yeah, she's Orthodox, like real Lutherans, chas v'shalom, Orthodox transgender comedian, you understand? Right away, schmutziaken. Number two, the Daily News picture that I just mentioned to you. Number 3, the title of the daily news piece, something to the effect it's kosher. If you want to know how Chilul Hashem is spelled out, now it's kosher. Exactly what we're afraid of. In other words, that the Am Ve'eda, we show the total cravenness, fecklessness of the Orthodox Jewish community, as opposed to the cardinals and the bishops who refuse to take food from international aid organizations in Tanzania, even though the people are starving from hunger, because they won't sell out their God to in any way give an affirmation to the homosexual lifestyle. But as one of the owners or principals of Garden of Eden told one of my associates, Hagudas Yisrael lawyers advised them, whether it's just the restaurant, or actually it was the Vada Rabbanim Flatbush, advised them that they have to let the thing go on, etc., etc. Shame on them for doing this. Now we have to compare this, as I told you in the past. The Shlomo Tzion Balacha said that Chilul Hashem is judged by what the Tovim Shabumas do. Jack Phillips, the baker who won after being fined $150,000 by the Colorado Human Rights Commission for refusing to bake a cake for Mishkei Zachar, an artistic cake for their marriage, quote unquote. He is being sued again by the Colorado Human Rights Commission. They found another thing. They didn't get their pound of flesh, and they're going after him again. And Baruch Hashem, he even countersued. And Tovim Shabumas, Gentiles throughout the country, are contributing money to help. And the Alliance Defense Fund's a Christian organization that's very pro-Israel and pro-religious freedom. That's what they do, is help, once again helping him out. But I suggested this: is it possible that these Garden of Eden and Agudas Yisrael, instead of giving them advice to be craven, to genuflect, to be obsequious, to kiss the ring of Antiochus, etc., to do it just b'fnim, of course, like the Gemara Megillah, they were only doing it b'chutz, but b'fnim, they were true Ehrliche Jews, versteht and they were plotting, you understand? That's why the owner, Kirshner, or Mayor Fuchs, or whoever the people are, the Garden of Eden, that's why they exercise, you understand, their constitutional right to tell reporters like Reuben Blant and others, listen, we've been forced into doing this because of a fear of losing our entire fortune, because we see what's happening to Jack Phillips, and we've been advised to capitulate. But you should know that we are, as Orthodox Jews, we are dead set against this, and it's a sad day for us that we have to host in our restaurant a transgendered, quote-unquote, Orthodox bluff comedian Dana Friedman, and Leah, she's no lady, lesbian. And we're very sad about this, and we apologize to the community. They could have done this, and they couldn't have been sued or anything else. But they lack the ehrlichkeit, they lack the sensitivity, they lack the consideration, and they're lackeys of the Aguda, who are representing the Moyetzes Gedolei HaTorah and the Presidium and the Siyas and the Allah Tzadikim Val Chasidim, Val Ziknei Amcha Beis Yisrael. They represent all these things, you understand? And did you see? I want you to know that the night before, or the night of this thing, I called up and I left the message on the phone of Rabbi Moshe Scheineman. He's considered somewhat of a kanoi in our community, and distinguished Machaber, Yid, Frak, Als Gesund, Kol Kavod. I respect him greatly, and Rabbi Yosef Eisen, who's mamish a chashuv person, and very big in kashrus, because they are members, and Rabbi Adler, who is the bureaucrat who runs the office of Kehillah Kashrus. And I left the following message, at least because I understood, maybe wrongly, but I think you're not wrongly, the Kehillah Kashrus is the second more heilige Hersher on the on Garden of Eden. Now, where Amram Roth, even though Rabbi Beck stayed on Arcadia, Amram Roth, who was giving a Hersher on Arcadia, he left and he put out a thing. That means he was willing to sacrifice money, at least temporarily, I don't know if he went back there or not, in order to make a stand. Obviously, Kehillah Kashrus was not willing to do so. So I said, at least in your shuls, Rabbi Shainim, Rabbi Eisen, and all the shuls of the Rabbanim, Kenny Alman, the Grace of Tzaddik, were associated with Kila Kashrus, at least have the Olam say a capital Tilim Bein Mincha L'Mayrev, have the Rav get up for 3 or 4 minutes and give kind of drasha that I told you that the Garden of Eden and Agudas Yisrael. What's the heter that Agudas Yisrael didn't issue a statement that we are devastated by the loss of religious freedom when it comes up against the so-called civil rights? A moral wrong can't be the basis of a civil right, as Yehuda HaKatan Levi, wrote in 1986 in January in an op-ed piece opposing the Mishkav Zachar laws in the city of New York. Why can't they say that? We're devastated. And we want you to know that lest anyone think that we go along with this, and lest we think that allow the media and the Reuven Blaus and the Oisrovs and the Daily News and other media to crow, it's now kosher. We want to say it's definitely not kosher. But does Aguda feel any achrayus to this? Do they even brief the Moetzes Gedolei Torah? Does the latest members of the Moetzes Gedolei Torah or the other Rosh Yeshiva like Rabbi Reisman, Rabbi, what's his name, Rav Brudny, who I have great respect for, the Moetzes Gedolei Torah, or the Nasi of Agudas Yisrael, the Rosh of Agudas Yisrael, did anybody who's briefed? Did they say anything? They know. They have. It's disgusting. It's sad, etc., etc. By the way, they reported that they made a contract with her. She's not allowed to speak about the Mishkav Zachar type thing, and she has to speak within the confines of Orthodox Jews and everything else. I think it might have said in the thing she has to dress appropriately. So this is how she dressed. Yeah, and this is how she dressed. She started off dressed like a Orthodox woman, maybe with a shekel or this or that, very snore. It's part of the act. By the end of the evening, and in the picture it shows, she's wearing a T-shirt, that of course a black T-shirt that it goes above, way above the elbow, the sleeves end, and she's wearing a pair of trousers and black boots. Okay. Somebody said that they thought on her arm there was a tattoo. I don't know. Yeah, not. It doesn't make much of a difference. This is a Fadormina Yidna. Okay. When I was speaking with her off air, so to speak, my chat, when she was attacked, and then I started speaking to her because I wanted her affirmation, quote unquote, her validation about my creativity in making songs and intellectually debating with her and the other homosexuals or homosexualists. You understand what I think? So I made the mistake, unfortunately, of conducting a little off-the-air communication with her via the telephone, you understand, and via voice messages or typed messages. And at that time, she told me a story. I kept her confidence. I told her, what do you have to wear the pants? In other words, don't wear the trousers at least. In other words, officially, you have this gefährliche types of lesbianism. You can't control yourself. Okay, not okay. But you rationalize that. You were born, like, the homosexuals say, they were born with this orientation. It's not changeable, anything else. She was born, she managed to mother a daughter, etc., etc. I'm not getting into this. I'm not getting into this. I'm just asking the following question. Was she born with the orientation that she has to wear trousers, she has to be sneerstic? In other words, as ma'es chazes on from birth. And in other words, it's such a hypocrisy because, the homosexuals who want to shove themselves into our shul to sit next to each other, the two homosexuals, married couples, who the Chamorim, the modern Orthodox say, and maybe even David Lichtenstein, maybe he's also a quasi-Chamor from the way he handled with me on his program. We shouldn't throw them out, we have to this, and the argument is, Ki'ilu, listen, the Mishkevei Zachor are no worse than the Mechalei Shabbos. We take in Mechalei Shabbos because we say they're Tinik Shenishba, you understand? So maybe the homosexuals, don't we want them to keep the other mitzvahs and everything else? In other words, you're doing one Aveira, even though the Chazal say if you take one thing and you make a carve-out b'shita that you're against this thing of the Torah, it's, I think, Kilu, you're transgressing the whole Torah, whatever the Chazal is. But I mean, they use this argument, Kilu, you're preventing these Mishkav Zach, these ehrlich people who want to sit, they want to go to Daf Yomi, and some of them do maybe, and they want to do this and that. I mean, Ashkenazi, Steve Ashkenazi, the Baal Tshuva, whatever, was famously going to Daf Yomi, and Rabbi Wolglen to shul. You understand? We needed his Torah. You know what the Bnei Yissaschar says? near Tizrael Koitzer was something like that. In other words, he says that when a person learns Torah in a certain fallen state, etc., he's actually contributing to the Tzara Klippas, to the Sitra Achava. But we're not going to get into the Kabbalistic stuff about this svar that they have. So, but when you apply the svar to Leah, she's no lady. Whoa. This is not making fun of her. By her own description, she's not a regular lady. She's a different kind of lady. I'm not going to get into it more, what kind of a lady she is and how she perceives herself, you understand, with the one who she took under her wing, who's 12 years younger than her, a confused individual. But the point is, if officially the homosexual Orthodox is we want to do as much as possible, so she tells me she fasts on Tisha B'Av. Good. So why do you have to wear the pants? Okay, but that's it. So this is how she was thumbing her nose, and she continues to thumb her nose. And it's really at this point when she's in open rebellion. In other words, it's one thing, private sin. It's another thing, public trespass. It's a whole different gather. Chaim Tov L'Shalom. Let's see. We're at the halfway mark, Rabbi. So let's continue here. Okay. So people ask, some of the lowbrow crowd, which unfortunately is too many Torah Yidden, what's so wrong if she kept it clean and she didn't say anything, etc., etc.? So what's so wrong? And the other ignoramai ask, like David Lichtenstein, etc., etc. Machali Shabbos, you allow in the shul. He says, Tinik Shenishma. Was willst du? These people are in the throes, THROES, of their titles. What do you want from taking them into shul? Okay? And the answer, I've told you a few answers. Number one, Amalek is not Chilul Shabbos. Amalek is a Shekorcha Baderech Loshen Mikveh Keri Mishkav Zacha. It's an ultimate rebellion against Hashem, against the whole concept of Kadoshim Tiyu Kikodesh Ani Hashem. It's a bechin of Reiches Goyim Amalek. And Amalek is personified by Mishkav Zachar and all that it entails, all the subcategories, you understand. It doesn't even say in the Torah for Chilul Shabbos, which of course it says tremendous things that a person Chilul Shabbos loses, he's considered like an halacha, like a goy. If he touches yain, it becomes yain nesach and everything else. It's true, I'm not taking away from it. But the Gedolei HaPoskim have dealt with the fact that Bisman Hazeh, we can adjudicate and rationalize people in Machali Shabbos because they're Tinok Shenishba'u. They didn't know better, Ke'ilu, etc. But a thing like Arayos, Mishkav Zocha, that the whole Goyish Olam, the whole society from time immemorial, from the time that Sodom got the name, sodomy, obtained its name from the mice and Sodom, from ancient times we knew, people know, instinctively we learned things from a cat, that this is wrong misbehavior. So therefore, this is a whole different level of Merida. And to recognize this, when Mechalei Shabbos come into shul and they conduct themselves, they behave themselves, it does not lessen, hopefully, our chashivus for Shabbos. In other words, we are used to that we function where a majority of Jews are Mechalei Shabbos. But when people of sexual impropriety come into the shul, and we greet them, and they're part of the Kiddush, and they're part of this is not to be makar of them like the Mechalei Shabbos who are hoping maybe they'll become frum. Oh, you're going to tell me maybe they'll stop, they'll become heterosexual. They're married, and they have their boyfriends, they come in, they sit together, and some of the Siddiqim say, you can sit together as long as you don't hold hands. Wow, this is a big accommodation for Hashem. He's very proud of you. Knippa from Bethel. You understand? So the lowbrows, the chamorim, belidas, we ask the question of what's wrong? What's wrong? Could you imagine if adulterers would come into shul? Two adulterers, okay? All right? And they come into shul. And would we allow them to come as a couple by the Kiddush, Ahin, the hair, etc., when we all know they're there, and smile at them, and they should be a part of the minyan and a part of the communal goings on in the shul? About that, we would be rankled by this. We would be totally disgusted by this. Why? is the practice of homosexuality and lesbianism. But lesbianism is not, it's not a big, it's not like a man. Oh no, but we just throw the sifri in the garbage that says it's a derisive kamaisa Kanani, but we don't paskin like that. Yeah, but the Shulchan Aruch paskins that Nashim Salsley Zu and Zu who are conducting lesbian activities, they get Malkus Mardus. It's a serious thing. It's not a joke. It makes its way into Shulchan Aruch. So what are these heterim? In other words, if somebody only kills 10 people and Hitler kills 6 million people, so we say, what do you want? He only killed 10 people. Ox and Ferd, what are you talking about? So we wouldn't and shouldn't have them in shuls. So even if they say clean jokes, if the Garden of Eden would be approached by a homosexual, by an adulterous couple, and they flaunt their philandering in public, would Agudis Yisrael lawyers also say, you got to fold, you got to capitulate? Now, the Aguda is hypocrites for the following reason. In 1995 or thereabouts, when YU under Normie Lamb folded and allowed homosexual clubs in Yeshiva University because they were afraid of losing the government programs, so Rabbi Dov Keller, Rabbi Chaim Dov Keller, Rabbi Dov Keller, the erstwhile Rosh Yeshiva of Chicago tells, who is a theoretician, he's one of the Bali Ashkafa, written for many years articles, wrote a scathing, blistering criticism of YU. So the inference is, Agudas Yisrael would stand up, they wouldn't have a homosexual club. This is a lot different than a homosexual club, allowing this. So you say, but they have no choice, they're going to be sued, they're going to lose their money, and this and that, etc. First of all, why did Jack Phillips, the Gentile, have a choice? And they have no choice. There's billions of dollars of money. Should I give you a list of billionaires, starting with Reb Reuben Schron, the tzaddik, and you have the Wolfsons, and you have David Lichtenstein, and you have Bodner, and you have, you know the names better than me. You know the names better than me. You mean the Ma'atzis Gedolei Torah, we can't call them in and say, Rabbi Sai, we need to put together a fund now. We have to fight this. We have to draw a line in the sand here and say, Ad Khan. If not, this is a breach in the Chayma, in the very after shadows of Hanukkah. And we have to draw a line in the sand because it's going to get worse and worse. Did anybody from Aguda do this? No. They went behind the scenes and they gave encouragement. So not only am I showing they're hypocrites because it's a Torah Chadasha, it changed. It changed since Rav Eli Yisrael passed away in terms of the internet, and it changed. It changed since 1995 when Rabbi Keller, Aguda capitulating to government authority without even attempting to fight it in court or anything else. You might say Aguda is hypocritical, right? I want to come to the defense of Agudas Yisrael. They're not hypocritical. The first knee-jerk reaction of Agudas Yisrael under Rabbi Mara Shera of sainted blessed memory was capitulation, tongue with arts, onwards and upwards, full steam ahead, everything is apace, keep the geld coming. What am I talking about? I've said this before on this forum, that in 1984, in December of 83, when Koch decided to defund the Salvation Army because they wouldn't sign his intro, his whatever it was called, that we promised not to discriminate in hiring and in any other policies against Mishkevei Zocha, and the Salvation Army said, we're Protestant, we're evangelical, whatever we are, and it goes against our religion, we're going to give up hundreds of thousands of dollars, and we're going to take you to court. And afterwards, shortly afterwards, the Catholic Church did it. And on January the 1st of 84, I did a public press conference on City Hall that Koch himself came down and interrupted because he was afraid of the bad publicity. And I signed in the name of Agudas Rabbanim. I signed on with an amicus brief, a friend of the court, in other words, supporting the Salvation Army and the Catholics. Where was Aguda? Car 54, where are you? It took Aguda many months to do it, to their eternal shame, eternal shame. So the answer is, I don't say Aguda's hypocrites. They go back to the errant Rabbi Shara philosophy, and they always held we got to bow down because it's so choshev. We're getting money for our moistus, and Torah wouldn't survive in America if Agudas Yisrael didn't get the shkolim and the breadcrumbs from them. After all, Hashem put us in America. We have more billionaires and millionaires than ever before. Even the biggest aniyim of ours have air conditioning and have meat and this and that, etc., etc. A lot of things. And many of them, the kids go to camp, whatever it is. I'm not saying there's not aniyas. Believe me, I am in the category of aniyas. I live on $1,000 a month, and I can't live on $1,000 a month, okay? So I understand what aniyas is. But mitzad sheni, this heta to do this is fair. What are they going to turn around and do different? Why didn't Agudas Yisrael head? Why didn't Agudas Yisrael head a movement? They still haven't notified anybody. Why can't, Chatzkel Bennett writes an op-ed piece in Hamidiya. He writes about, we got to vote for Cuomo in the primary. We got to actively go vote for the Mushkis who brought gay marriage and is promising to make the abortion with Tzitza bill and the bathroom transgender bill. It's going to all pass now, Rabbi Sai. The first one, here's a note, the first one, they got in their bills already as schmutz. The first one is Brad, the homosexual activist Hoyleman, who already has a bill into the assembly in, you understand, with his schmutz, with his liberal garbage, like we hear the first Orthodox, the first baby born, one of the very first is an Orthodox Jew. Wow, in the new year, we're so proud, it's so choshev, we rate, they're reporting in the newspapers, the Orthodox Jews, it goes around the blogosphere, and they sort of on Yeshiva world, or who knows where it is. This is important. You understand the ox and the vacuous wiffleheads. This is important. But to note who are the first mushkasim and miscreants who are sponsoring bills to kill us, that nobody bothers to monitor, etc., etc. Simcha Eichenstein, any day now, he's gonna give his inaugural speech. Rabbi Say, mark my words, I am challenging him and holding him accountable. He should speak up for Torah values. He should say the secret that no frum askin from Agudas Yisrael dare say or dare mention for some reason 801A from the year 2010, when it was upgraded to include by inference private schools that you have to teach civility, civics, etc., which is more than tolerance but absolute respect for people of diverse lifestyles and schmutz. That is one of the goals of this whole anti-yeshiva thing. Will Simcha Eichenstein have the guts to say that? And I feel the obligation as Ami b'Shelosi, as Nafshi b'Shelosi, v'Ami b'Vakoshosi, I am standing up. I'm a Shliach Tzibur. The reasons, Simcha, I'm your conscience, I'm your Shaita Simcha. Nitnin Navul Shaitim, I'm calling you out. I'm telling you not to curse you. If you knock with your elbow a cup of water over, it's going to spill. I'm telling you not to curse. This responsibility of being the newest Hasidic person, the first historically assembly, with your Bekesha Aside Litenas Hadin, if you don't stand up for morality. I don't give a darn if you don't hear that from Aguda. I don't give a darn if you don't hear this from the Rebbe's and from Torah. And if you're surrounded by all kinds of low life that you surrounded with and you participate in the past Simcha. Were you at any New Year's parties this year, like Ezra Friedlander? Ezra Friedlander, yeah, he was at a New Year's party with other Hasidim, lecking and comforting Jerry Nadler, the former yeshiva student. I'm going to tell you more about that if Karen allows. It's unbelievable, Rabbi Say. Let's move on. So you understand what's wrong. She kept it clean. The answer, what's wrong is the same thing like allowing adulterers in the shul or having an adulterous party. If the adulterers keep it clean, they don't discuss in garden of eating restaurant their proclivities for their licentious misbehavior, lascivious misbehavior. So then it's okay. They're just doing comedy. And the idiots who stand there in front of the Avaryonim with the yarmulkes and the tichels, and they applaud and they laugh, they are directly over Isurim the Araisa Mamish, a whole host of them. A whole host of them. The V'yahavta Re'acha Kamoich is predicated first on Ani Hashem. It has to be in accordance with Ani Hashem. The Nikdashti B'Sech B'nei Yisrael, Kedoshim Tiyu. You should be Prushim, B'Dolim. Okay, Litzana Achas Doichem E'er. Okay, the whole thing is look at the results. The Jewish the Daily News was crowing, it's kosher now. They all contributed. They're all fake as if they should be included in my project. It's called the Valam al Shinam project. What does it mean, V'ha'oivim v'ha'zaydim? Who's it referring to? You think it's referring to just Gentiles? My voice side, it's referring also to Jews. Zaydim in particular means Jews. It means the Jewish fifth column. And we say, Sa'aku, Shemager, Sachalim, V'sashpiyim, V'sachniyim, B'meheriv Yameinu, Shoiber Oivim, the ones who intend to do us wrong. Umachnia Zaydim, and the ones who actually do us wrong. This is what these people are doing. They're making a tremendous preachers gather. They're misleading our youth. And a lot of our younger Weiblich wiffle heads who go shop for sushi with 3/4 of their hair showing out of their tichel, they're doing us a favor. They're doing us a favor with their long backside length human hair sheitlach that look more natural than regular sheitlach. You understand? They're doing us a favor. We have to genuflect them. Thank you for being Shemeres Shabbos and for being Shemeres Kashrus and everything else and for raising our Jewish children. Yes, thank you so much. We're not allowed to say anything. You're allowed to do what you want because you're poor, you're oppressed, etc. Yeah, you understand? This is what's going on. So all of you people who are out there, the 120, I'm sorry to tell you, I have to tell you, for very little gain, you are joining up with the fifth column, Holonu Atol Litzarenu, the Asad Litness Adin, and I advise people, if you care for Kvod Shamayim by Valam al Shinim, you have to start having in mind Avi Weiss, Lopez Cordozo, okay, the whole Chovei Torah movement, the yeshivas, everything else, the feminist rabbis and rabbis. You have to start thinking about these things and having them in mind and shed a tear or two. We want them to do tshuva, have in mind by Hashivenu Avinu Sarasecha. But meanwhile, we have to say a stipulation, not to curse them, but a stipulation. Hashem, if these people, including the audience who was laughing and participated, therefore contributed to the Reuven Blau article in the Daily News and in other media about how they were welcomed in the Orthodox community, a new dawn, a new revolution is arising. If their contribution rises to the level that they should be included in Valam al Shinim, then I stipulate, I have in mind they should be included. Koyach of the Yidden is Tolas Yaakov. What does it mean, Tolas Yaakov? The worm Yaakov. Tolas, the Koyach is Bepeh. The worm survives through its mouth. Okay, we survive through our mouth, through our tefillos. And that's the great equalizer, okay? And that's how we have to respond to Satan. Now, Rabbi Sai, it's Pesach's turn. The same Pesach that has turned the other cheek and is ignored for so many years, the Chil Hashem's of Gary Sher. I am naming names. They're coming to a factory bistro. It says she's coming with another bunch of miscreants. She's making her second performance in Pesach. The question is, what is the Rosh Ha'ir in Ruchnias Harav Hagoyin, Reb Meir Stern of the yeshiva? What's he going to do? Is he going to do the silence of Cher? What is my friend, Rabbi Ron Eisenman, going to do, who in the past hosted a bill signing ceremony in his shul for Cher? And I pointed out to him, and he later realized that it was a pro-Mishkav Zacher bill. What is he going to do this time? Ron speaks out about so many things. Can somebody please get him this information and let him see that his voice is on the WhatsApp? They can hear it in Yirsa Hashem on the hotline. I give you the number 641-715-3900, extension 247656. I'm asking, can somebody tell the Hirth family, can somebody tell my dear friend who I haven't spoken to for many years, the Menahel of the Mesifta, Rabbi Meyer Rubin, can somebody speak to Rabbi Wasserman? All the Rabbanim and the Askanim in Pesach, if you allow this to go by without doing what I suggested, making statements in the Jewish media that we oppose this, telling the restaurant we oppose this, they should, frankly, the Rosh Yeshivas of Pesach should organize that the night of that affair, which will undoubtedly be covered by the media, by the lights of the Reuben Blaus, maybe by the Asbury Press, there should be 500 Yidden out there with signs. Torah, family values, shame, we protest this. People who go to this thing of Pesach should have to walk through the gauntlet of protesters, and they should be shamed. And people should stand there with video cameras like the Gentiles do outside the abortion clinics. or like the Gentiles do outside brothels. They sometimes stay outside brothels. And this is done by the authorities, at least it used to be done. The authorities would have people with videos, and they would stand outside and they would publicize the faces of the people who frequented brothels, whorehouses, okay, beis nus, bates nus. So we can't learn from them, and we should do the same thing. There should be a price to pay. Psek is a smaller community. They're capable of doing this and getting together. I said it, so it's out there. I'm an extremist. I'm a Meshuggah, I'm a fanatic, but I'm your shaita. I'm your shaita Psek. Hashem is putting these ideas into my head to say this blathering that I'm doing. And you guys will be held accountable if you do nothing. This will spread like a cancer unless it's stopped. We have an opportunity to curry favor with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to stand up for Kedoshim Tiyu, for Hein Am Levoded Yishkoin, okay, for the leitmotif of what we stand for, the Kedushas Habris, Yisoid, etc., etc. Now, what are we going to do? I think that everybody should get the number of Star K, go in the internet and Google the number, and you should be calling up Star K, the president, Mr. Pollack. You should ask to leave personal voice messages to Rabbi Heinemann, and you should say, do you realize that you're appearing in the advertisement of this bistro that you give a hesher to? Okay? With the Star K. So you're koshering literally her event in terms of the food kashrus, and indirectly you're koshering, it's not kefelach. Because, in other words, if there was an event in the factory bistro, or whatever it's called, bistro factory, or whatever this place is called, if there was an event where they got up and they said, kill the Jews, would Star K continue to give a hechsher? All right, they'll face lawsuits, this and that. So you do it, Jack Phillips. You say we're a religious institution, this goes against our religious sensitivities, and we want to fight it up to the Supreme Court. That's right. Shame on you. Heinemann, sit down, Agudas Yisrael, get your Gevirim, go to that gentleman Friedman there, the other Gevirim are both of the multimillionaires who are hobnobbing with the presidents and everything. Put the money together and fight, for crying out loud. Enough of this shtussim of this folding like cheap cameras and capitulation. Enough. Dayenu. 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 If you're not going to say enough, Dayenu, we're going to all be dying spiritually and otherwise. Chas v'shalom. It's enough. By the way, again, at this point, we see that this is going around. Vada Rabbanim Flatbush, Gilus Kashrus, Star K. So what do we have to do, Rabbi? So what we have to do is we have to have all of the Kashrus. You know, they have some kind of a group meeting where they discuss cutting-edge things that are Nageya. They should all get together at their next meeting sooner than later, and they should come out with protocols. What are we going to do when miscreant homosexuals, transsexuals, transgenders, schmutziaks want to do this? We're going to have a protocol. The protocol is, if we're told by real Gedol Yisrael, like in Eretz Yisrael, let them ask Rav Chaim Kanievsky. Let them ask Rav Chaim Kanievsky. Let them ask other Gedol Yisrael, Ziknei Yisrael, and see Rav Edelson. Let them ask other Gedol Yisrael. Okay? Rav Sternbuch, let them ask. Okay? We're criticizing Merwis, and the European rabbis finally came out and they criticized Merwis, chief rabbi, for capitulating to homosexuals and with certain things he put into the certain of the modern yeshivas curriculum, etc., etc. What are we criticizing Merwis? Our good Yisrael is any better here? They're turning the other cheek, they're capitulating, they're folding, they're genuflecting, they're like cheap cameras they're folding. So, the Kashrus organization should ask a shaila if they're mechuyev to pool their resources and work together with Agudas Yisrael, the OU, and everybody else, and get together a fund of several $1 million to fight these darn things. That's the first thing. The second thing is that even if they have some reason they can capitulate, they're potter from making a mechah, they should all issue a statement they should have. We are adamantly opposed to this kind of lifestyle. This is done because the current vogue and mores are pushing so-called civil rights, and a moral wrong cannot be the basis of a civil right. They're pushing this, and they are cutting off our religious freedom, and pushing us from the public square into our synagogues, and we don't know where this will end. Okay? She'll decide to rent a social hall in the synagogue, and they'll also have to put up with this garbage. Okay? So, therefore, we condemn this and we urge people not to attend. You're allowed to do this. This is Vox Populi, the voice of the people. You're allowed to call for boycotts. You're allowed to call for things. So if at least they would do this, the Moises Akashas, it would be a little bit menakachel Hashem. But Aguda v'yasukulam Aguda achas lasois ritzaycha certainly ritzaycha is to genuflect b'leiv shalem v'yasukulam Aguda achas lasois ritzaycha to advise others to genuflect as well and to lek. Yeah, girl, yeah, you're the big people who organize the Siyam Hashas, and they organize this, the Great organizers, they're running Klal Yisrael. So why the blankety blank? Why don't you organize this protocol? You're not part. I'm not saying that only the Kashrut agencies. You and everybody else should get together, get off your McDuffs, and do something. You've already presided over Chil Hashem for tens of years with the Aaron Rabbi Shara philosophy. The chickens are coming home to roost. I want to ask all the people who say Yehuda Levin, the preoccupation with the Gayachs, invite, you don't stop. So who's right now? My Rabbein, Rav Avigdor Miller, and the Kasher Rav, and the Devitzina Rav, and the Shalom B'Tzion Balacha, Rav Moshe Halberstam, Rav Ben Zia B'Tzafi, Rav Avdi Yosef, Rav Batkel Yo, and Rav Shmuel Orbach, Rav Ezriel Orbach, and Shalom B'Tzion Balacha, and Rav Shmuel Feidelson, Rav Pinchas Teitzel, all of that and more. It's a big mistake that Ephraim Mordechai Ginsburg Levin didn't realize. I didn't have one person, Rav Avigdor Miller, Das Yochid. I have more Gedolei Yisrael who are holding like me than the entire Mayetzes, etc., etc. And I'm not so sure. Rabbi Yisrael Belsky held like me. Rabbi Kamnetsky, Yobab L'chaim, made robocalls, and he was very sympathetic to this thing. And he told me in 90 years, whatever it was, I'm not going to shake hands with Joe Lieberman. Thanks for telling me. Revel Yisvei was outraged when they were honoring Joe Lieberman. So I'm not so sure. I think I have the problem. I think they're the breakaways, this new approach of capitulation and genuflection. Okay? Is anybody going to say, I'm sorry? Is anybody say Yehuda Levin is right? Do I expect that? I don't expect that, Kivuzeh. But I'm allowed to say that. I'm allowed to say that. Absolutely. In other words, if they're in the media with Reuven Blau and everything, we need an equal and opposite reaction. We have to start using our media. And Chatzkel Bennett, who could write these articles, why isn't the articles appearing in Hamidiah and Yated now immediately with Agudas Yisrael, with the top people? Why isn't David Zweibel? Okay? Why isn't Avi Shafran, the architect, the writer, the architect? You understand? Where's Eitan Kobri, who can't stand Yehuda Levin? But where's Eitan Kobri to want to be sophisticated? What about Jeff Adlerstein? What about the traditional Jewish Values Coalition? Rabbi Avram Gordon, who I have the greatest respect for. I hope you get a chance to hear this. What about the coalition coming out and speaking about 801A and speaking about drafting a protocol statement for Agudas Yisrael, OU, RCA, Lubavitch, Satma, and all the rest, even if they fake outs and they don't mean it, but at least there should be a public protocol, a public statement, and a public modus operandi of what to do when we're faced by this garbage, which is going to become ever increasing. Now we have, the first of the year, they're talking about the first Orthodox Jewish baby. Who's the first Chaynef of the new year? Could it be Chatzkel Bennett? Chatzkel Bennett, who wrote in Hamidiah how we have to all vote for Cuomo, because Cynthia Nixon, he paskin das Torah, will be worse. So we have to vote for the lesser of the evils. That's why now that Cuomo is in. So we don't have to worry about, we got the lesser of the evils, according to Chatzkel Bennett, at least. It's not true. She would have been far less evil than Cuomo, far less powerful. So Mark Molinaro, the Oisvov who ran, the Republican, quote unquote, on the conservative line, the shame, who ran against Cuomo and was officially against Gayachs, against abortion, and he endorsed both of those things basically during the course of the campaign. Now he wrote a Hanifa thing to Cuomo. You gave a gewaltige speech at the Ellis Island in your inaugural speech, and nobody deserves more than you to have your hand on the Bible. You had to bring in the religion also to take this office, and we're going to work together with you. So who tweets alike to this? The Chaynef in chief, Chatzkel Bennett. Okay, did the Mayetzes allow this? Why is when Chatzkel Bennett, who so often represents how good it does something, why doesn't this reflect us? Reflect on a good Yisrael, the Mayetzes and the Seers? Why are they potter when then miscreants do this kind of Hanifa? I want to know. Okay, so there's a big thing. there's a big competition because there's a video going around that Ezra Friedlander put out that he's speaking about Zman Krishma with Jerry Nadler, who's the congressman from Borough Park and Greenwich Village, who's remarkably pro-homosexual, and he went to yeshiva and he's talking about Zman Krishma, and Ezra Friedlander is saying, where else can you see such a thing that the head of the Judiciary Committee should be quoting Gemara Brachas? And then he smiles with a little Hasidic Chayyim standing next to him, and then he says, Happy New Year. So Ezra never fails to accomplish the foot and mouth disease. And he asked me to mention Liska, so I'm mentioning, the Akhtu Shar is very proud, and I'm sure your father and your brother, I feel they're very proud, all the Liska dynasty of the Hanifa, and your recognition of the New Year's. New Year's is called Sylvester. Sylvester in Eretz Yisrael, Sylvester, as we pointed out, was in the 5th century of Constantine, when the emperor turned from being a heathen, he was Mukurah by the Pope Sylvester. The Pope Sylvester wrote tremendously anti-Semitic things, which became ensconced in the church dogma of anti-Semitism. And this is part of what the New Year celebration is in different parts of the world. It's actually called Sylvester. This is what the idiots, the imbeciles who are wishing people Happy New Year, what they're saying. Rabbi Say, until this time next week, Yehud 11, spread the word about the hotline. Please be active. Join the WhatsApp at 718-469-6999. Rabbi Say, until next week, a guten Tamid.